Hi, this is E.T. And this is Alan Dershowitz. A few years back, he penned an article entitled "The President is Not Our Commander-in-Chief." That was a response to Secretary of State Clinton's phrasing of a message she sent to Republican senators. They were, and I quote Secretary Clinton, trying to be helpful to the Iranians or harmful to the commander-in-chief in the midst of high-stakes international diplomacy. Allen objects to her tacit assumption that the president is commander-in-chief over anything beyond the military. And he's right. That's something about which the Constitution is clear. See Article 2, Section 2. Attempts to corral a leader's authority appears to be a never-ending struggle, because something in our human genome craves unfettered leadership, be it in the hands of somebody we call a king, Il Duce, Der Führer, or Mr. President. The question of king versus no king came up in the Bible, see 1 Samuel, and the total ruler option won out when Saul, and then David, and then Solomon became the first kings of a united Israel and Judah. Moving over to Greece, Socrates promoted a pyramid-shaped society with at the tip a philosopher king, who by virtue of both genetics and training understands the true reality that's revealed to the rest of us only as shadows. Now this concept has some appeal. Remember the quote, "In the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king"? Most Americans, wherever we're planted along that left-right continuum, accept the all-powerful commander-in-chief of the people. What? You saying you don't believe it? Well, whom among our elected potentates do you celebrate, and which ones are celebrated by others in schools and novels and films? They're praised for concentrating the powers of the central state and elevating the powers of the executive atop it. Lincoln, no first name required. You know it already. He gets top billing for commander-in-chief of all the people. Why? Because of his constitutionally questionable revocation of the writ of habeas corpus, conscription, and redrafting of the United States Constitution to where all the world understands that those individual states once united were now a singular entity, and it, no longer they. Franklin Roosevelt manipulated a trusting, albeit pacifistic public, into the so-called good war. Clare Boothe Luce put it this way: FDR lied the American public into war because he could not lead them into war. Professor Thomas Bailey wrote these words, and I'm quoting, "Because the masses are notoriously short-sighted and generally cannot see danger until it is at their throats, our statesmen are forced to deceive them into an awareness of their own long-term interest. This is clearly what Roosevelt had to do." Unquote. Bailey's textbooks are required reading for many university and college students, and they influence the thinking of thousands of opinion molders, K through 12 teachers, journalists, film and TV writers, and so on, a majority of whom appear to accept the principle of the commander-in-chief over all the people. Take a look at the TV show The West Wing. The writers have several times placed these words into President Bartlett's mouth. He was played by Martin Sheen. Bartlett will inform people like Charlie Young, played by Dule Hill, that he, Bartlett, is your commander-in-chief. Other entertainment media, talk shows, even newscasts, emphasize, explicitly or by implication, that the president is your commander-in-chief. Not that he's commander-in-chief working for you, but he is commander-in-chief over you, which raises a question. Should anyone in the information sharing business, anyone wanting to occupy the president's chair, be required to attend Constitution Kindergarten? Before I end this video, a question. Take a look at the screen. Do you recognize anybody? Anyone? I bet you don't. These bearded presidents appeared between Grant and McKinley, a period during which Americans saw exponential increases in wages, of industrial growth, and a relatively painless transformation of society from rural to urban. All this accomplished without a central bank, without an income tax, without a standing army, without a major war, without stealing other people's lands. Oh, we did acquire Alaska in what's called the best real estate deal ever, but we paid cash. Not much, though. And without an all-powerful president. All that said, most of you appear more comfortable with a commander-in-chief of the American people and not just the military. Remember, that concept is peculiar to expansionist empires, not republics. This is E.T. Hit the like or dislike button. Do subscribe.